I call the Tuesday, August 28th, 2018 meeting of the Portsmouth City Council to order. And I'll ask my colleagues on council to stand as Reverend Linda Moore, the minister at Crossroads United Methodist Church, leads us in an invocation. And then after that, Councilman Bill Mooney will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
O Divine One, we come together as city leaders and as citizens to discern what is best for the city of Portsmouth. We pray, O Lord, that you would guide and direct us. We pray, Lord, that you would give us listening ears, that when we speak, we would speak truth. And we pray, O Lord, that when all is said and done, that we are doing what is best for this city. It's in the name of the Divine One that we say thank you and that we give you praise. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask my colleagues on council to indicate your presence by hitting the yes button. And Madam Clerk, we have a quorum. Our next item of business is the consideration of the adoption, approval of minutes. We have the minutes of a call meeting of August 13th, 2018, the minutes of a call meeting of August 14, 2018, and the minutes of a regular meeting, August 14, 2018. Is there a motion to approve these minutes? We have a motion that's been made to approve, duly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, that motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, would you read the protocol for speakers, please?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our first item of business is a public hearing, 18-333. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption for this public hearing?
Yes, sir. Public hearing on the city's request for proposals for the outside plant construction of a new municipal fiber network consisting of 52 miles of fiber and connecting 56 community anchor institutions and 3 internet points of presence.
Before we start the public hearing, Madam City Manager, would you explain this public hearing and its purpose?
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of City Council, I'm going to ask Mr. Michael Ammons to come forward, please, the procurement officer.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Vice Mayor, City Manager, staff, and citizens. The purpose of this public hearing is to allow the public to comment on a project that City solicited under the PPEA, which stands for the Virginia Public-Private Education Infrastructures and Utility Infrastructure Act. The public hearing is to allow public comment on proposals we've received. This solicitation was prepared in April of 2018. We received 6 proposals. We published the public notice in the newspaper. It was published on August the 19th and August the 26th. So it allowed, tonight's public hearing is for public comments on those proposals.
Any questions of council? And how many proposals did we receive?
We received 6.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
they've been open for public inspection?
Yes, sir. They were posted on our website, and the ad made it available for review in my office.
Okay. And there's no action by council tonight, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
We're in the listing mode.
Yes, sir.
To receive comments from the public?
No, sir. I have not received any.
No, we are.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Ammons, the 6 proposals, they've been available for the public to review.
Yes, sir.
Are there any particular restrictions why council cannot review those?
No, sir.
So if this is a public hearing, I'm just curious, why is it that council has not been made aware of any of these 6 proposals?
Council is a member of the public, and I apologize for that. There's no reason why you shouldn't have been able to get a copy if I had known.
I mean, I know I'm a member of the public. That's not the issue. I'm saying that we always members of the public.
Yes, sir.
But we get briefed on items as a council. And so I'm just curious, with a $9 million project, why is it that we have not been individually briefed as a council, but the public has viewed it?
Okay. I don't have an answer for you on that one. You know, what we do is in accordance with the law. We allow the public to come in and review it. As far as I understand, there has been briefings to council on different parts of this project, but not on specific proposals.
Right, I haven't been briefed on any of the 6 proposals.
I know, sir, not on the proposals, on the project itself.
Right.
We haven't briefed anybody on the proposals.
Well, I guess my question was, of those 6 proposals, the citizens have had an opportunity to review the proposal.
Yes, sir.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So council has not been briefed on any of those 6 proposals.
No, sir.
Right.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions? All right, with that, Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. As a follow-up question, I guess the question that begs to be answered is, when are we going to be briefed on the proposals?
I think not to answer the question, but I think
Oh.
that we got that scheduled for the next work session.
Okay,
Where's
so we'll get a briefing on all 6 proposals,
Plus all the other alternatives.
or
too.
any that come in? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Again, this is a public hearing, and I remind everybody of the protocol that the the city clerk read for speakers. And again, I remind the public that the council is not going to take any action on this matter. We've got a lot of work to do. With that, I'm going to open the public hearing. We do have one person that's signed up to speak, and that I'll call on that person first, and then I'll open the public hearing to anybody that wants to speak on this matter. And the person that signed up is Mark Godolgi-Yatrowski, and sir, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council, and fellow interested parties. I'm not speaking on the merits of the respective proposals that have been submitted. I'm speaking to the overall project that this represents.
This is a public hearing on the proposals, though. Please keep your comments directed to that.
I'm not in a position to speak on the specifics of any particular proposal. Due to my travel, I arrived here too late to look over it. But I want to say that I'm pleased that these proposals were all put out on the website and were accessible to anybody interested in looking at them. I have downloaded each of them and will be reviewing them in greater detail. But I want to say the project itself is significant for the city of Portsmouth. It is in line with one of council's priorities, which is building a smart city. and it is an excellent representative of regional cooperation because we have the ability to collaborate with Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Suffolk, and the cities on the north side of the James in providing to our residents and our businesses high-speed internet capacity. In terms of Portsmouth's future, I consider this an essential project. We will be part and parcel of something that is even bigger than our region. The 2 fiber optic cables that private companies laid across the Atlantic with their terminus in Virginia Beach. So we are acting as a gateway. We, Hampton Roads, are acting as a communications gateway to the other side of the Atlantic. I think there is vast potential here. Now, concerns were expressed. Councilmember Whitaker expressed a concern about the form that the implementation of this project may take, and I am sensitive to that particular aspect of it. But whether the project should go forward or not, I have no doubt. This will enable us to be competitive within the region in terms of attracting new businesses that will find a high-speed fiber network conducive to their business models. It should provide employment opportunities for our citizens, and it may ultimately reduce the cost to our residents of individual access to high-speed internet. So in the big picture aspects of this, I think this is very positive for the city of Portsmouth, and I'm glad that we are in the running to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The chair recognizes Councilman Smith.
Mr. Goddard, could you come back? I want to ask you a question. Excuse me. Knowing that this is right now maybe possible through the public-private partnerships, if that didn't pan out and somehow ensuring that we don't wind up like our tolls, how important would you feel is this to make it happen some other way, financial way, or tax increase or bond funding, or would you be amenable to support that?
Yes, sir. I think this is a significant investment in the future of the city and its businesses and residents.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Whitaker.
Yes, Mr. Godolsky, Yachowski. At the earlier meeting, the issue that I raised, it has nothing to do with the feasibility or the necessity. I believe that we need to have that type of technology. My only issue, which I would hope the citizens would also want to know, is how are we going to fund it? And there are different options, the tax, the bond, the public-private partnership. And I think what you may have heard expressed in our earlier meeting is simply we want to look at the pros and cons of each one, cost benefit if we decide to use the different financing options that are available. So that's where I am with it, and I like to make informed decisions, and also I think the citizens should have information because, as I mentioned earlier, and I heard you mention, that this type of technology is essential and necessary. The tunnel is essential and necessary, but was that the way that it should have been financed? Public-private partnership versus another means. And so that's where I am with it, and I think some of the other council members is not the project itself, but is what's the best way we can finance it with as least impact on our citizens' pockets.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. You don't need to respond. We've heard you, and Dr. Whitaker's right. We're going to be looking at this. So let's have the next speaker, please. Is there anybody that wants to speak? Please come to the lectern. You'll have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address.
My name is Donna Sy, and I live in the Woodbine Farms neighborhood. I didn't plan to speak, but I want to read this. Public hearing on the city's request for proposals for the outside plant construction of a new municipal fiber network consisting of 52 miles of fiber and connecting 56 community anchor institutions and 3 internet points of presence. And that's what this says. All right? And it's $9 million for the project. So that's what the public hearing says. So I'm trying to interpret what that means. I've been going to all the work sessions, and I've been trying to figure out in a summary how everything is going to be laid out. Number 1, what's it going to look like? 2, how much it's going to cost? And who's going to do it? And how much am I going to have to pay for it? Or are we the people? This is one of 4 big things. I just want to say, I'm tired of being taxed in this city.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there another speaker? Anybody want to speak on this matter? Is there another speaker? This is a public hearing. Seeing and hearing none, I close this public hearing. And we move to unfinished business, and we have a consent agenda consisting of 2 items, 18-311 A and B, and we'll consider these together. And Madam Clerk, will you read the resolutions and the ordinance associated with both?
Yes, sir. Item A resolution granting a use permit, UP 1804, to Edward Walker to operate an entertainment establishment at 467 Court Street, tax parcel 0006-0900. And item B, zoning amendment ordinance Z 1802.
Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda, which would have the effect of adopting the resolution and the ordinance. It's been duly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, the motion passes.
Yes, sir.
Which brings us to the next item, the City Manager's Report, 18-334, which is the consideration and adoption of an ordinance. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption of that ordinance?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting grant funds in the amount of $160,000 from the Office of the Executive Secretary of the Supreme Court of Virginia and appropriating said amount in the FY 2019 Grants Fund for use by the 3rd Judicial Circuit Court for the Portsmouth Adult Drug Treatment Court.
So that we can consider this matter as a motion to adopt.
Move for adoption.
We have a motion to adopt the ordinance. It's been duly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, that motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Which brings us to the next item, 18-335, which is the consideration of another ordinance. Would you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance to amend and reordain Chapter 23 of the Code of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, nuisances by amending Sections 23-1, 23-26, 23-27, and 23-91 through 23-95, and by adding a new Section 23-90 for the purpose of addressing criminal blight on real property.
So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt?
Move for adoption.
We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, that motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Which brings us to item 18-336, in the consideration of another ordinance. And Madam Clerk, would you read that ordinance, please, that
Yes.
caption?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting $22,375.40 of federal asset forfeiture funds received from the United States Department of Homeland Security and appropriating said amount in the FY 2019 Sheriff's Asset Forfeiture Fund for use by the Sheriff's Office.
So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt? We have a motion that's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion, which is to adopt? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, that motion carries. Which brings us to 18-337, the consideration of an ordinance accepting certain grant funds. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption of that ordinance?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting $17,269.84 of federal asset forfeiture funds received from the United States Drug Enforcement Administration and appropriating said amount in the FY 2019 Sheriff's Asset Forfeiture Fund for use by the Sheriff's Office.
So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt?
Move for adoption.
We have a motion to adopt, and it's been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, that motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Our next item is the consideration of the adoption of an ordinance to receive certain funds. It's item 18-338. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption of the ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance to accept $78,079.87 received via the Circuit and General District Courts and to appropriate said amount in the FY 2019 General Fund for use by the Sheriff's Office for items needed to support the Sheriff's Office Training Academy.
So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve or to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, that motion carries.
Yes, sir.
This brings us to item 18-339, which is the consideration of another ordinance. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption of that ordinance?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting funding from the Virginia Department of Social Services in the amount of $1,500 and appropriating said amount in the FY 2019 Social Services Fund for use by the Department of Social Services for the Family Partnership Meaning Incentive Program.
Thank you. So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt? We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, that motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Item 18-340 is the consideration and adoption of an ordinance accepting certain funds, grant funds. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting an employment for a TANF participants grant in the amount of $122,269.64 for the Virginia Department of Social Services and appropriating said funds in the FY 2019 Grants Fund for use by the Department of Social Services to assist TANF participants with preparing to enter the workforce and maintaining employment.
Thank you. So
Yes,
that
sir.
we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt?
Move for adoption.
We have a motion that's been made to adopt this ordinance, and it's been seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And that motion carries. And Madam Clerk, this brings us to item 18-341, which is the consideration of adoption of another ordinance accepting certain grant funds. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption of that ordinance?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting an Emergency Food and Shelter National Board Program grant in the amount of $5,891.50 from the Department of Homeland Security and appropriating said sum in the FY 2019 Grants Fund for use by the Department of Social Services to assist Portsmouth citizens who have emergency shelter or utility needs.
So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt?
Second.
Any discussion on the question? All in favor, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, that motion carries,
Yes, sir.
which brings us to item 18-342, which is the consideration of another ordinance. And Madam Clerk, would you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting a Green Streets, Green Jobs, Green Towns grant in the amount of $30,000 from the Chesapeake Bay Trust and appropriating said amount in the VPDES permit compliance line item of the stormwater category of the 2019 Capital Improvement Fund for the implementation of the Court Street, Green Street project.
Thank you. So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, that motion carries,
Yes, sir.
which brings us to 18-343, the consideration and adoption of a resolution. Would you read the caption of that resolution?
Yes, sir. A resolution authorizing and supporting submission of a smart scale application for the City of Portsmouth Railroad Crossing Message Signs Project.
So that we can consider this matter, is there a motion to adopt?
Move adoption.
We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded, and we do have one citizen who has signed up to speak on this matter, Mr. Mark Godolgi-Yatrowski. And sir, please limit your comments to this agenda item.
Yes, sir. Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council, and fellow interested parties. I take great pleasure in seeing this proposal brought before you. It's something we have sorely needed in this city for quite some time. And I'm glad that the technology has reached a point where it's possible to provide warning to our citizens when trains are tying up major crossings of our highways and byways. So I'm glad that you are applying for funding through Smart Scale, rather creative approach to financing it. I also have a couple of questions. Number one is, will the technology that enables these displays to give drivers prior warning of trains either crossing or about to cross a major arterial, will it also allow our emergency services dispatchers to be notified that a train crossing is in progress? If so, this will be a big help in terms of responding to emergency situations across the city. The other question I have is it contemplated that there will be a smartphone app developed to provide this kind of guidance to drivers who are navigating our city network of highways and byways. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And Madam Clerk, this motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Which brings us to new business, reports on boards and commission. And Councilman Moody, you have an announcement?
Yes, Mayor, there are no boards and commission appointments to discuss tonight, but I do want to make the public aware that we are going to reactivate our towing advisory board. And on that board, we'll need 2 citizen volunteers. If you're interested, you can submit an application online, or you can submit an application by calling the clerk's office. But good opportunity to have some input on a very important service throughout our city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is 18345, item submitted by council. We have an item to add to the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. And now the consideration of that motion. The item.
I move to amend the contracts of the city manager and city attorney to clarify the terms related to deferred compensation, specifically by adding the following language as the last sentence of the section of each contract entitled salary. For the purpose of calculating all benefits, including retirement benefits, the city shall include the annual deferred compensation, the annual automobile allowance, and the annual general expense allowance that the city pays employee as set forth in this agreement as part of the employee's total salary.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the 2 contracts. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please vote yes. Opposed, no. Thank you. Any other items? The chair recognizes Vice Mayor Simmons.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of items tonight. First, we want to congratulate our Museum and Fine Arts Commission on a very successful 48th annual Seawall Art Show this past weekend. The weather was perfect. I think the vendors had good sales in the first 200 and 300 blocks of High Street. I think the businesses on High Street enjoyed having them there. And the Hill Award for actual work in the arts community was given to our very own Sue Landerman, who is a world-renowned artist and has done a lot of work in our own city. So congratulations to all of them on a great weekend. Coming up this week, tomorrow night, the Crawford Gateway Revitalization Strategy Update will be available to the public from 6 p.m. to 7:15. That will be at the Badawi Pavilion. That's a new location, 6 o'clock to 7:15 tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening. On Thursday morning, this Thursday, August 30th at 11 a.m., if you're available, you should come to the Commodore Movie Theater to see the world premiere of the Portsmouth Police Department lip sync battle video. If you can't be at the Commodore at 11 a.m., it will go out on all the appropriate social media channels soon after that. On Thursday evening, it's our Next to the Last Sunset Thursday concert, which have been so successful at the foot of High Street. This week's band on Thursday, August 30th is the DD&T Band, and that's from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the foot of High Street. Bring a chair and enjoy that. Coming up next Monday, hard to believe, it's Labor Day again. And so those of you who have Monday trash collection know that your trash, as always, will be rescheduled for the Wednesday following September 5th. And just before we meet again on Tuesday, September 11th, The city will have a remembrance ceremony for September 11th activities. It will be here in the city council chambers at 6 p.m. And that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next item is report on pending items. Dr. Patton, are there any pending items?
No, Mayor and members of council, there are none.
Good. Our next item is non-agenda speakers. And Madam Clerk, would you read the protocol again for the public, for speakers?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you. And to paraphrase that, we ask for civility and no personal attacks of anyone, whether they're in this council chamber or not. And with that, our first non-agenda speaker is Jack Neely. And sir, you have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mayor. My name is Jack Neely, and I reside at the 15 Warden Place in Portsmouth in the Craddock area of Virginia. I'm a United States Army Vietnam veteran, and a life member of the NRA. Last Wednesday, I received my first Freedom magazine, and on the cover, it has NRA School Shield. You have the paperwork that's I got permission from the NRA to make copies. Last Wednesday, I received that magazine, and it concerns the NRA School Shield. When I last spoke to council on this matter, I was at CPAC, and I saw Wayne LaPierre, and he informed me that Portsmouth, well, he informed me that 5 years ago that the NRA had a program that would allow them to come into any city that requests it, and allow the NRA School Shield to make Portsmouth a a safe city where the we wouldn't have any children anyway. It's all in the packet that I brought for you. And my last part of this is let's let Portsmouth be a leader in Hampton Roads by having the first safe school system, by requesting them to show up and analyze every school in the area so that no children in Portsmouth will be injured if somebody decides that they're going to use a weapon against children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Donna Sy. Ma'am, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Donna Sy, and I live in the Woodbine Farms neighborhood. Principles of Liberty 13 reads that a constitution should be structured to permanently protect the people from the human frailties of their rulers. Principles of Liberty number 14 reads that life and liberty are secure only so long as the right of property is secure. So how do these two principles relate to the Crawford Gateway revitalization strategies? This is public property, the people's property. It doesn't belong to the elected. The property belongs to us. You are not following the laws of our Virginia Constitution. In Article 1 of the Bill of Rights, our forefathers declared their rights to exercise of their sovereign powers. These rights pertain to them and their posterity, which are we the people now. These rights are the basis and foundation of the people's government. The elected cannot make any compacts to deprive us, the people, from enjoyment of life and liberty, or the means of acquiring and possessing property, and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. All power is vested in and derived from us, the people, not you, the elected. Somehow, you, the elected, have forgotten how to be trustees and servants, and forgotten by, and are not being held accountable to us. You're elected to oversee that there is common benefit, protection, and security of us, the people. The Republican form of government is the best because it produces the greatest degree of happiness and safety, and is most effective when it is secured against the danger of maladministration. What we are seeing with this Crawford Gateway revitalization strategies is this. The centralized government presented this at the retreat without our knowledge and consent. This is maladministration, and we the people have a right to reform, alter, or abolish our city government because of this shift from the normal standards set down by our Virginia Constitution. What has this city council is doing is failing to give the people happiness and safety in our city. You did not coordinate and implement a completed organizational chart. This lack does not allow communication. There is no accountability of anyone elected or appointed. The departments do not have boards and commissions attached to them to advise and prevent maladministration. All decisions are made by 8 people. There is not a name for a centralized government. There is a name for it. This prevents our city from working with the federal government in an advisory role. This prevents our city from working the state government with the port and shipyard, as evidenced by the court case and the request for a loan. Even one of the vision principles that the City Council arrived at is Portsmouth, Virginia is a prosperous port city which builds on its assets, its strategic geographic location, its waterways, its rich diversity, its sense of place to create economic opportunity for all of its citizens. Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission states, Portsmouth is a world-class maritime center by the development and expansion of maritime and supporting industries in the city of Portsmouth. There are also just words too. Safety is not being addressed. If you listen to the report, Challenges Facing Law Enforcement, that was given last night at the work session by the police chief, she addressed terrorism. The report stated we are very target-rich because of the military. If we are very target-rich, why have we spent so much time and money on 9 studies from 1994 until 2017? This doesn't include $200,000 spent on the disparity study or $75,000 spent on the poverty task force study. The people did not give their consent to have these studies done. We need to allow the people to self-govern. We need to go by our vision. Isn't that what the vision is all about? To maintain our history? We the people are standard bearers. We believe in individual liberty and justice for all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Juanita Jones. And ma'am, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor Rowe, council members. It gives me great honor to stand in front of you today and let you know that the State Virginia Education Association has awarded the 2018 VEA Community Service Bronze Award to the Portsmouth Education Association for their community partnership program with the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation of the Hampton Roads Chapter annual Victory Walk. Before you is a flyer for their walk on September the 8th. I've come for the last 6 years standing in support of trying to get people to come out for the awareness of cancer in the city of Portsmouth. We are still the highest mortality rate city in the state of Virginia. Our walk will be on September the 8th at IC Norcom High School this year. We're going to have a whole variety of different things. We're going to have Zumba. We're going to have the fitness. We're going to have the thunder and lightning motorcycle to give you safety on riding motorcycles. And we're going to have the Corvette Club. But my most important reason for being here tonight, because I am so honored that the teachers of the city of Portsmouth were recognized by the state. I also want to recognize the Portsmouth Auxiliary for their faithful support in helping us during our walk. And I also like to recognize Mr. Pace for helping putting it out so we can get the response. So in all essence, I just wanted to come and give public knowledge to the Portsmouth education and the teachers of the city of Portsmouth. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This concludes our business this evening, and this meeting is adjourned.